This week's adventure took me to Florida, where I had a great trip with my brother. We went on a boat ride fishing, walked through the woods, saw a spider. I took a picture of a lizard on his porch. And around his house, he has a tremendous amount of flowers, which was awesome to get into the macro photography. Put on that macro lens and really get in there and take some nice shots. Which led me into this idea from a post I read somewhere about taking some macro photos of like a match head and so forth. So I tried to do that in a controlled environment to see how good or how close I can get and what it would look like with extension tubes. So let's get right to it. Hey, I'm excited about photography and I hope you are too. So let's learn together. So this week's episode is going to be about more macro photography. Like this peppercorn on the end of an upside down candle melted just enough to hold it. Let's talk about the setup a moment. The setup for this is pretty simple really. I have the camera in front of the peppercorn on a candle upside down. I melted the end of it. I was taking a picture of a grain of an oak grain. Melted the end of it so it would hold it, so it wouldn't roll off or had something to stand on, if you will. Pretty much got it leveled and close to in focus with a 1:1. You can see here we have it set to 1:1. And then it's a matter of adjusting it in and out. So what I did was I put this tripod down with this arm, kind of attaches to it, and used the crank to get it just in and out just slightly enough to focus it. I'll show you what that looks like. Now that I've moved the camera in somewhat focusable range, I am getting a lot of light from behind, I think. Let's take a shot from it from this point. We've got too much light, I think, but we'll see what it looks like. Now that we have it lined up, I'm going to go ahead and bring our focus right into this area here. Zoom in. That looks pretty crisp and clear, so we're going to zoom in one more time to 10. And then from the crank, we'll crank this forward or backwards just to get it just right. See, it moves a lot. Any bit of movement. That looks pretty crisp. And then we'll take our handy dandy little remote control. Boom. Nice photo, but I think there's too much light in the background, so we're going to take that again after taking some of the lights out. Now with just this light behind me here, take this photo. Still pretty bright. And we can see we're at 32. Just for the heck of it, we're going to bring this down to about half of that, 16. And we'll take a look at that. Well, that looks pretty good. Let's take our steps down a little bit as well. So we'll move this up and use our dial. We'll take it down and see what it looks like. That's not too bad. Our ISO is at auto, so I don't think we're going to change too much of that. But let's say we did. We took it to 200 and we set that. Holy cow. What happened to our shutter? What kind of shutter exposure was that? That was crazy. Let's look at this. That had to be like 30-second. That doesn't look too bad though. It was a 10, I guess it's a 10-second shutter. So 10-second shutter. 16. So we had a 10-second shutter, f16. We dropped it down a couple steps. And that's the image size, or the number of images. I don't know what else to look at here. I mean, at this point, I think we've taken a couple of nice shots of this. What can we take a picture of next? So the next question is, what will happen if we add extension tubes? I've placed each of the 3 extension tubes on and refocused, and this is the shot of peppercorn. Without the extension tubes, photo looks pretty good, pretty crisp and clear just the way it is. With one extension tube, the largest extension tube, the image does get bigger, but it does seem to lose some of that clarity. And with all 3, I turned the peppercorn a little bit, and the image is much bigger. You're starting to get outside of the 1:1, obviously, but the clarity seems to be dropping, and I'm not sure why. So I may have to play with this a little bit to figure out why I'm not getting a sharp image, or if there's some tips or tricks that could help make this sharp as we go beyond the 1:1 and zoom in. So if you have any tips or tricks that you could help me figure out how to make this a little sharper image, that would be great. Okay, that's it for this video, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button. I post a weekly video, so be sure not to miss next week's video by hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. Feel free to leave a comment below, and we'll see you next week.